Come on in, come on in, come on in, tag your friends, come on in. Help me teach this lesson. Y'all help me teach this lesson because I'm going solo in my, I don't know if I can hang as much as I used to be young. Now I'm old and, well, I can't talk as long as I used to in a setting like this for 2 hours. So help me teach this lesson, Tommy. Tell me about racism in America. Racism in America. Racism in America. Help me out, guys. I got notes. Y'all got notes? Go ahead and type them. Tell me about your experience so I can read it on the air. Racism in America. In America now. All right? Y'all don't go nowhere. Racism is real, Vicky. Tell me about it. It's part of America like apple pie. Tommy, that ain't helping me. I got 2 hours to talk. Give me something to read. Hello, everybody. So the So Jones Show. I am he. It is Wednesday. Wednesday. It is time to talk about stuff that's happening around the world and America, and Mr. and Mrs. America and at sea. I got some stuff I want to deal with you with in the next 2 hours. I'm going solo like that cup, solo. And we're going to talk about this topic called Racism in America. Racism in America is on and a-popping. And I tell you, the last few days have been quite exciting for some of you. It also has been a catastrophe for others, all right? Since the time that the great Donald Trump came on the scene last year, we said, well, he ain't gonna make it. He's a fool, he's crazy, he's a bigot, he's a racist, he's a divisive. Oh, he's all kind of stuff, and then bam. January the 20th, 2017, he was raising the right hand and said that he promised to preserve and protect and secure the blessings of our liberty, the Constitution of the United States. And here we are today. So today I want to do a collaboration of a few shows that I have done. All right. So those of you who are on Facebook Live, please, baby, please go ahead and make a comment so I can read it to my Urban Broadcast Media family that y'all can't see them, but they can't see you either. But they can hear me and y'all can hear me too. And I'm gonna be reading from your comments and reading from some of the notes that I have constructed here myself. I did a few shows over the past few years. I've been on the radio since 2009, I think. I've been at this station for a few years, since 2014. It's 15, 16, 17, gosh, it'll be almost 4 years I've been at this station here doing what I do. And we've constructed and produced hundreds and hundreds of shows, and all of them, matter of fact, all of them are on the internet. You can go to SPREAKER.com, SPREAKER.com, and all of my audio files are up there. You can also go to YouTube.com and just type in the Sir Walter Jones Show, and they are there. So you want to catch up for 3 years of programming, there I am. But I did a show called Democrat, Moderate, or Republican, okay? And I want to kind of go talk about some of those things. I also talked about the absence of white evangelists on issues of racism, okay? And I've also talked about why white people are afraid of black men. Yeah, I did those shows, and what I want to do is do a collaboration with myself. Yeah, I want to kind of go back and piggyback on some of the things that I talked about and show you how relevant it is still today that racism reigns supreme and that it rests in the minds and in the beds of many of our friends, associates, non-friends, and enemies, whatever you call it. I have no enemies. They may be enemies they say I'm their enemy, but I have no enemies. Every friend, every person out there is some kind of associate or friend. I have none. I have no enemies. No, I do not. I know you said that's impossible. Well, that you don't live my world. I've never met a man that I hated. Never met a man who I called my enemy. No. I met men that I said that didn't like the way they acted, but you see, the weapons of our warfare ain't carnal. And we ain't fighting against flesh and blood, so I ain't never met an enemy. Never met him, all right? So you can call them whatever you want to call them. Democrat, Republic, okay, and moderate. I'm going to kind of catch you up a little bit here. Cortez says there's white and versus black and black versus black. Black versus black racism. No, I'm not talking about crime and killing. See, Cortez, there it is. I wanna kind of help y'all out on the political. The Bible says it's not first natural, then spiritual. So I'm gonna talk about the natural first, if I can, and then help you out with the spiritual to see if I can make sense for those of you who are watching and listening on racism and why it will never go away. Racism and bigotry and discrimination will always be here until Jesus comes. As a matter of fact, in antiquity, in scripture, you will see racism there. All right. As it pertains, though, to America, we were probably the first ones to enslave a man because of the color of his skin, not because of his class. I don't think y'all understanding that. There have been slavery around the world since the beginning of time, okay? And never really that we see in history where people were enslaved because of the skin complexion, their skin complexion. No, they were enslaved because of their classism. Sometimes it's the casteism, but their class, their financial stability, instability, class, middle class, upper class, lower class, poor, what have you, their status, they were enslaved by that and not so much their skin color. It wasn't until slavery happened in the Atlantic trade that brought us over here where they began to enslave a man because of his skin. And once that happened in America, they set it precedence for the whole world. And so wherever black man would go around the world, because of his skin, he was hated because America kind of started the skin thing. I know I'm preaching, Cortez, I know. And many of you don't even know that, but that is absolutely correct. Melissa says St. Louis is still protesting the acquittal of that white officer who killed the black man. They shut down a major highway last night. Hundreds of protesters were arrested. See, we don't see this on our news because we have been captivated by the shooting in Las Vegas. All right, so I'm going to help you with the politics of the political aspect from around the world and what they call it, and if you can find a way to bring it to what today is. You see, I will never say that all white people are racist because they are not. Help me understand. I'm going to try to help you understand this. I'm on an urban radio station, so trust me, we fight civil rights on this station every day around the clock. But we also have white friends and associates and those who have helped, those who have marched with us. They have given us, poured monies into our accounts to help us with this plight, this fight, okay, and the struggle. So we cannot say that all white people are that way. As a matter of fact, when you see Black Lives Matter marching, you see a lot of white people marching with them. I say that to you a lot, all right? So let me help you in the reason why there's a lot of political dissimulation going on here. Lady Rochelle says, I totally agree. Some things will always be there. There are periods and reasons where it seems to die down, but some things or someone does something to wake it up. Bam. See, the white people that I know said that Barack Obama becoming president caused or woke up racism. And I heard them say that, and I wanted to slap him upside the face. You see, but what Barack Obama's, his election, what it did, though, it caused those who were bigots to come out on the forefront, come out on the front line, to expose themselves, say, hey, wait, whoa, I've always been a bigot, always been. All right, I might eat at McDonald's with you, but I'll never let you in my house, so you can never marry my daughter, all right? So when Barack Obama came on the scene, they really showed how much they hate black people, all right? So he didn't cause it, all right? He didn't start it. What he did was, when doo-doo was sitting there and it's getting all hard and somebody come over there and step on it, that's what he did. He stepped on the doo-doo, and then there was all of the people coming out of their little towns, little rural towns, and those who probably eat at Cracker Barrel and live in maybe, I don't know, they watch NASCAR and live in trailers, okay? I know black folk do all that too, but I said it, and I don't care what y'all think about me, okay? It's an urban station, I can get away with it. Yeah, and if you're going to blame somebody, blame the D. Curtis Randall Show. He comes on in the morning. He's an award winner, so he can take the darts that's being tossed at me right now. Demetri Triplett says the media is streamed to help push propaganda and agendas. You on top of it, that is why you don't see it publicized, in reference to Michelle's post. Michelle, what did Michelle, to Michelle post or Melissa's post? All right, help me out there, Demetri Triplett, because I didn't see Michelle's post. I must have missed something. Angela says most of the time we only see the 10 to 20% who are bad, which is where the stereotypes are derived from. To categorize based on race is wrong, no matter who it is. All right. In the political system, we have what's called communism, socialism, Nazism. We've got fascism, princes. We have potentates. I don't know. We have dictators. We have kings. We have what's called totalitarians, and that's probably who North Korea is, a totalitarian. Okay, we look at Hitler, who was part of the Nazism, and some that we have. What's his name over there in Italy? He was more of a fascism. Okay. And then when we look at the systems around the world, we have several systems. One's called monarchy, anarchy, aristocracy, and oligarchy. And you'll hear those names on our news stations, but many of you won't stop and Google it. Many of you won't stop and go to the encyclopedia. Go to the dictionary and find out what these words mean, because they affect you. And one day, the system that they call out might be the system you live in, and if you don't understand the system that you're up under politically, okay, then you won't understand how things are working and why they're not working for you and they're working against you, if that's making any sense to some of you out there. A monarchy is a form of government in which the ruling power is in the hands of just one person. But there is no such government today, believe it or not. There is no such government as a monarchy today. I know y'all saying, well, look over there, and no, and the dynasties and what have you. No, we don't have them, that system today. Now, the anarchy, that means without government. In a state of anarchy, everyone must be armed. NRA. You see what they're saying, Richardson, is the way to get rid or take down a man with a gun is to give another man a gun. That means arm everybody. If everybody had guns, I heard even John, what's his name, Hannity on Fox, not Fox, they ain't my friends, but Fox, he said, if you would just give me a gun, I could have took that guy down once he reloaded. All right, so pretty much, I got to wait till this guy shoot up everybody, then reload, so that then I can let Hannity shoot the man down. He was in a hotel, many yards up, many flights of floors and stories up. And so Hannity was going to take the gunman out single-handedly by himself. That was his excuse for giving everybody a gun. Sean Hannity is one of the biggest fools I know on TV, and those who watch him and listen to him are just as foolish. Yeah. So that's what that is. Okay. So anarchy is without government. In the state of anarchy, everybody must be armed. And the Greeks said that without law, there can be no freedom. Understand that. The United States is a free nation, but our freedom has cost us lives. All right, there could be no freedom. The children of the corn was anarchy. The Russians, the Lenin of the brown shirts of Germany, led by Hitler, that was anarchy. Okay, and then we go into a system called aristocracy, the form of government advocated in Plato's Republic. If you're into literature, this regime is ruled by a philosopher king. And thus is grounded on wisdom and reason. That's an aristocracy. Not too bad, but we don't live in that situation. All right? And then we got what's called oligarchy. You've been hearing that words a lot lately on the news. It's a form of government in which ruling power is in the hands of how many? A few. a few leaders, okay? And the most common form of, this is the most common form of government, is oligarchy. Sound familiar? Yes. Most of the nations of the world are ruled by the power of few. A new study jointly conducted by Princeton and Northwestern University says that America is no longer a democratic republic. That's what we used to be, not anymore. We used to have three classes. There was the poor, there was the middle class, and there was the rich. And then, of course, there's the filthy rich, the super rich, that 1% that we always talk about. So we were saying, every time they ask what kind of system is America, they'll say we are a democratic republic. Well, the United States government now represents the rich and the powerful, not the average citizen. The United Press International reported special interest groups and the wealthy run America. You voted in a wealthy man, and then what he did was he hired all of his wealthy friends, the oligarchs, all right? And you're up under that system. You can vote all you want to. It ain't about the democratic way of voting in. No. These men are, and well, it could have been a woman, but these men are chosen now. Not so much by you. It's been proven because you overpopulated a vote for a woman, and she still couldn't get in there. Why? Because who run the world? I'm not Beyonce, don't y'all sing, okay? It's really all about the special interests. Why do you think the NRA is as powerful as they are? Why do you think every time it comes time for shootings like this, that they shut down that whole talk about gun control? Why do you think that's, and I'm going to talk about that soon, all right? Well, money is king. Money is power. And you put it into the hand of those who rule, especially those who are hatred, full of hate, all right? Those who want to get laws changed. You can buy your way in and out of everything. Yes, democracy is for a price. It's for sale. How much is that democracy in the window? Yeah, we've been in an oligarchy for a while now, even before Trump. Yes, we have Shantae Charles, okay? She's my fact checker, by the way. Okay, so that's what we are. Special interest groups and the wealthy run America. You don't. You can vote all you want to, and when they tell you to call your congressman and your representative to do yada, 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 it's almost, I'm not telling y'all don't do it, but it's almost a waste of your time because all they're doing is checking where you live. See, your insurance company even determine who you are by where you live. Whether you got insurance on your house or insurance on your car, they determine once you put that address in there. Look at your social security number. They can tell by your social security number the color of your skin and where you reside. Come on, I know y'all think this is crazy, but it ain't. And they know you. They have profiled you, and they will determine how much they will do for you because of your color and where you live. Location, location, location. And so they give you things, they give you a sense of entitlement, they give you these things that make you feel like you are part of a democratic republic society, but you are not. This is an oligarchy, and you, whatever you say, really is overrode by those who in Congress, sitting in that rotunda, whoever sitting in the White House, okay? And they'll say, we're doing this for the American people. They'll always put you in this thing and says, we're doing it because the American people want this. And the American people say, no, we don't. What you talking about? Because every time they poll the American people on gun control, even 80% of Republicans says we need some kind of control. But those in office tell you, we're doing this for the for the American people. And the American people have spoken, but they're being shut up. I'm trying to help y'all. I'm trying to help y'all, but you don't want to be helped, do you? Shantae says racism is as old as the Bible. Yes, God required us to love beyond the color of the skin. One bad seed spoils the whole bunch. We will continue to spew hate and entertain stereotypes as long as we breathe. Folks hate their family members. So how can you expect anything else? Oh man, she preaching. This behavior spills over in every aspect of life. The rich hate the poor hate the rich, the untalented hate the talented, the ugly hate the beautiful hate the ugly, and the beat that goes on and on. Man, Shantae Williams, you need to write that. That was poetry in motion. Oligarchy. So researchers then concluded that U.S. policies are formed more by special interest groups than by politicians properly representing the will of the general people. That you voted them in to represent you, but they're not representing you, they're representing the pocketbook. All right, including the lower income class, when the majority of citizens disagree with economic elites and or with organized interest groups, they generally lose out. So you can disagree all you want to with the NRA, you will always lose. So what is a democracy? Democracy, that's the rule of the people. That means the majority rule, democracy, whom y'all say we are. That's demos meaning people, and Crotian meanings to rule. The people rule, democracy, that's what that means. Well, the flaw in democracy is that the majority can't be restrained. You can't restrain the majority. If more than half can be persuaded, then guess what? Then the majority rule. That's a democracy. So in democracy, the lower class grows bigger and bigger and bigger. The poor becomes the winners. You see how it's not lining up with America? The poor becomes the winners. Diversity, it's a melting pot in America. It becomes supreme. And people are free to do what they want, to live and how they want to, wherever they want to. People can even break the law if they choose, because that's a democracy. Okay, the majority rule. And this appears to be very similar to anarchy. All right? The word democracy do not appear in the Declaration of Independence, though. Get you one. Get one from Shantae. She did a beautiful show. Those of you who are friends of Shantae, she does these wonderful YouTube Periscope shows every morning. I think it's every morning. Okay? What's the name of them again? If you could just put some, go ahead and put a shameless plug there, Shantae Charles. And she talks about these things that we don't know about. Okay? We should really pay attention to the Constitution. She did a show yesterday, I think it was, on the Constitution, and she just simply had a copy in her hand, and she read from the Constitution, and I just got indignant and upset with her. Why? Because I got upset with her because I wanted to hit her upside the head by saying thank you for going back to the basics and telling my black people to at least read this thing, even though you ain't in there, but at least read it so you know how to dwell either peaceably or go against the people who that piece of thing was written for. See, you wasn't in the plan, all right? You were in the plan, but indirectly and in a negative way, all right? So y'all go to her show. It's just amazing. Just type her name in YouTube, okay? So that's what democracy supposed to be. The word democracy did not appear in it, okay? It's not in the Constitution. The founders did everything they could to keep us from democracy. They did not want it, all right? So basically, the mob rule. Then after the mob rule, in walks anarchy. After anarchy, then finally what's called tyranny, and that tyranny happens under what's called an oligarchy. Oh man, I tell you, every morning, Daring Dialogues. Y'all type in on YouTube, Daring Dialogues, and what she does is she takes you back to the basics. And we need these people in our lives. She takes you back to the basics. I might do some things all over the place, but she's like a school teacher. She sits there and she drinks her coffee. She got a little stir in there, okay? She'll drink her coffee through the straw, and she talks to you in a way that you can understand. She don't use these big giant words that's over your head, and she speaks to you as if you're in the room. It is a wonderful show, okay? And go ahead and go there. All right, now, tyranny, a form of government in which ruling powers, here's tyranny, that's what this is. A form of government, okay, in which ruling power is in the hands of a person who has seized control. And who just seized control in this last election? All right, seized control. Democracy then degenerates into tyranny, where no one has a discipline and society exists in chaos. So democracy is taken over by the longing to be free, all right? Power must be seized to maintain this order. So a champion will come along riding in on his horse, okay? Has experienced power, which will cause him to become a tyrant. Yes, and the people will start to hate this man and eventually try to remove him, but will realize that they are not able to remove him. Oh, is all this sounding familiar? You see, this man could do whatever he wanted to. He told y'all that he can shoot a man on Fifth Avenue and not lose nobody. Yeah, all right. So that's tyranny. All right, we have a tyrant. All right, because he came to save the day. He came to build a wall to keep out those degenerates. You understand? Those people who don't belong here, per se. They don't belong here. All right? So because they don't belong here, and his voters say they don't belong here, so they said, let's put this man in the office because the way he's speaking is going to get what we need done. It doesn't matter about his religious stance, because there's a lack thereof. There is none for him. It don't matter about him being married a few thousand times. It don't matter. It doesn't matter if he wanted to touch women's vajayjays, okay? It doesn't matter about his moral living lifestyle. It doesn't matter if he went to bankruptcy 1,000,000 times. It don't matter all these other things, these things that he say. It don't matter. We want him, all right? And so Rome, the Roman Empire, wakes up again. The United States is the new Roman Empire. Tyranny, power in the hands of one who has seized control. Go ahead, Shantae. So now we talk about a republic, okay? So we told you, we told you what a monarchy is, anarchy is, aristocracy is, and oligarchy is. We told you what a democracy is. We told you what a tyranny is. Let's talk about what a republic is, right? I'm going this way to kind of help y'all understand the nation that you live in, the people who you vote in office, and their stance. Just because they live in America, and just because they're politicians, don't mean that they stand for what you stand for. In many cases, people get married to one another and they're unequally yoked. Even though they both believe in the Father, they both believe in the Son, they both believe in the Holy Spirit, they both believe maybe in communion, I don't know, they both believe in baptism, but do you not know those two still can be unequally yoked? Because even though they believe in those things, and that which is theology to them, even though they believe in the doctrines and what have you, their interpretation of the doctrine might be flawed, which makes them divisive. They're two people now. They're one in the spirit or in the flesh, that is, but they're two in the spirit, in a sense, if that makes sense. And people have divorced because they fought over religious reasons, all right? I just testified right there. So republic, that system, this Latin, or res means a thing. Publica is public, okay? A public thing, that's a republic. So the law is what it is, a republic. The government is limited by what? Law, which leaves the people alone. The Romans built a republic. Rome became wealthy. But the people forgot that the essence of the freedom is the proper limitation of government. Limitations. That's what the Republicans will always tell you. Limited government. Even though we put a man in office who had drained the swamp, but what he did was he filled the swamp with his billionaires' friends, and then your tax monies went to extravagant lifestyles and public or private planes all over the country, saying I got to be there because I just need to be in the meeting, all right? And he could have taken the Amtrak, which would have cost him $300, but he took the plane, which cost $300,000. You see what I'm saying? So he didn't drain it. He refilled the swamp. So the limitations. This is republic. The limitations of government. When government gets bigger, the freedom of the people recedes. And once the government creates subsidies and aid to the people begin to rely on what? The government for more aid. And therefore the people traded freedom for what? Security. They traded their freedom for more security. And that's why you hear the right wing will say, that's what you guys are. You guys feel like you have a sense of entitlement. Y'all, they call y'all, who was that? Reagan called y'all these vixens, these welfare queens, okay? Man, even though we realized later on that there were more white people on welfare than there were black people. Okay, so Rome fell because they went from a republic to a democracy, and they ended up in an oligarchy under the progression of a man by the name of Caesar. Will we have Caesar in America? Yes, we will. And I ain't talking about Caesar's salad either, all right? He is on his way. The man who we have right now, he ain't Caesar. He is a seed. He's just a seed, okay? He's an implanter. He's a usurper or implanter, but he ain't Caesar. He's a Caesar type. He's a prototype of Caesar, right? But like Rome, America will fall. Okay, will fall because republic to a democracy into what we are right now. We're in the third stage. We're in oligarchy, okay, under a progressor. All right, Donald Trump is not the first of the progressors. We've had one before him, but he's really reminding us that we're going to have more. Many don't get this. Yep, trading freedom for security. Come on, Shantae, I'm glad you're here. All right, so the church itself is a government in a sense. The church government, ecclesiastical or polity, okay, is what we have here, is the operation and governing structure of the church or Christian denomination. I'm going here because 95% of my listeners are Christians. It also denotes the ministerial structure of the church and the authority relationships between churches. Okay, so that's polity is closely related to ecclesiology. That's the study of doctrine and theology related to the church organization. And we have what's called the fivefold, all right, ministry in Scripture. We look in Ephesians 4, it talked about, and God, before he ascended, he descended first into the lower parts of the earth, and then he gave gifts to men. And what were these gifts? These gifts were what we call, the Bible don't call them, but we call them that because there were five governmental offices, all right, or gifts, all right, as the apostle, of course, and the evangelist and the prophet and the pastor and teacher. Sometimes some people call it four because the Bible says pastor and teacher. Prior to that it says, and he gave some this and some that and some that, and then he ended by saying, and pastors and teachers. Okay, that's another story. All right, so the Episcopal, okay, that's one of the systems that many of us are set up under. The Episcopal polity, that's the Catholic, the Eastern Orthodox, the Oriental Orthodox, the Anglican, gosh, and then we're going to the Methodist and Lutheran and Full Gospel and Church of God and all these things that we just split. Okay? But what God wanted, he's always wanted this, is called a theocracy. A theocracy. I'm setting y'all up here. A theocracy. Yes, accessions of gifts, Shante says. The accessions of gifts. Gifts from the apostle on down to the teacher. Okay, a theocracy is a form of government that is led by whom? By God. No one could lead in a theocracy but God. Or by a person or persons who claim to rule by divine authority. And I don't know anybody in America that can do that. All right? The word theocracy, a compound word, theos, meaning that's Greek for God, and krasi, or rule, that's rule, that means strength or government. The nation of Israel was to have been a theocracy. But they rejected God, his rule over them, and so God had to give them a human king instead of him ruling over them. Now, he still ruled over them, but he gave them someone, and then he made him a puppet. The name is Saul, okay? You have to go to 1 Samuel chapter 8, 4. The people in the Bible, just like America, the people in the Bible wanted a king. They didn't have one. God had given them judges. He gave them someone they can look at, and these men and women were the representations of God. Prior to that, God just spoke to the people directly. He spoke to Moses directly. He spoke to Abraham directly, Isaac and Jacob directly, okay? But the people wanted a king. Why? They didn't want a king because they felt they needed one. They wanted a king because someone else had one. Oh, I don't know if I'm helping y'all here. They wanted a king because of jealousy. They wanted a king because of envy. Okay? They wanted a king. All right? So they saw the other nations with kings, and they saw this pomp and circumstance, like the Kennedy administration, Camelot, and they saw that and says, we want that. So they covet other nations, and God says, what's wrong with me? I'm your king. And they says, yeah, we can't feel you, we can't talk to you, we can't touch you, okay, we can't smell you, all right? So God gave them a king, but before he did, he told them what this king is going to do to them, and he did everything that God said he was going to do. And even when God warned them, and the people still says, we don't care, we still want them. Sound like America to me. Yes, it does. Okay, so let's go back in history on how Christians were part of the political structure of America, because in many cases they were not. I always say that America has never been a Christian nation, and it's never been one. It ain't one now, and it will never be a Christian nation because of the foundation of this nation, okay? Because of the beginning of this nation. You look at the document, the Bill of Rights, okay, the Declaration of Independence and the amendments and what have you, is not a God document. And you can loosely say God's name in every document you want to, but it's loosely, very loosely based on some God, but not the God that we know. Comparison stole the opportunity for God to rule. Yes? Come on. So, Billy Graham preached against communism. You know, he was like a hero to Christians, all right? He preached against communism, right? It's like prosperity. The gospel is today. He preached against that stuff. He caught the attention of a media baron. His name was William Randolph Hearst. Y'all go and Google that name, and you're going to be surprised at how big this man was. William Randolph Hearst, okay? He built the nation's largest newspaper chain, and he was deeply anti-communist, all right? And he was on this show called the Edward R. Murrow Show. You can go on YouTube and type the Edward R. Murrow, and you can see and hear some of his old shows, all right? Billy Graham, he began to build relationships with those in political power. Most of the presidents, gosh, it goes all the way back. I'm trying to see if it's Eisenhower, might have, maybe even back further than that. But I'll start with Eisenhower. From Eisenhower all the way to this last president, all of them had an opportunity to house Billy Graham, right? Okay, the presidents. Eisenhower used faith as a weapon against communism. Right? As a matter of fact, if you look at some of his old newscasts, he said that people who don't believe in God were silly. Never will you hear a president ever say something like that ever again. Since the time he said it, no one has ever said it before. Not a president. He said if you don't believe in God, he considers you a silly man or woman. So what happened? Church membership by 1960 soared 65%. Why? Because of Billy Graham, because of William Randolph Hearst, and because of President Eisenhower. The three of them. It was a perfect storm, and the churches were filling up. Graham was groomed to be the voice of Christianity, but he is a knight of who? Oh, Malta. Okay, yeah. I can't go there. Patty Hearst, his daughter, remember? Yep, I know Shantae. Come on. Yeah, well, there's Shantae and Shantae. How y'all say your name? Because Shantae and Shantae, y'all spell your name differently, but it sure sound like it's the same. Okay, All right, so it was also he who put under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, all these things. Under God was not in there. Okay? To the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible. And then he put under God in there. Evangelicals and fundamentalists didn't want anything to do with politics since this evolution called the Scopes monkey trials. It's this evolution trial back in the 1920s, all right? This is some stuff that I studied when I was just a little peanut head boy, and I don't know why it stick with me today, but I guess because I had to develop the Sir Walter Jones Show to educate my brothers and sisters who never heard the stuff. You won't hear about the stuff in school because they try to remove that from you, all right? Because to give you too much of that stuff, well, it would make the system look bad, and then it will cause you to grow into hating the very person who fed you, the government. Oh, I said it, yes I did. All right? So evangelicals had a bout with this scope evolution trial, and they says, we're done. Politics were dirty. And since Jesus was coming back soon, that's the way y'all believe today, they didn't need politics. They said Jesus is coming. What do you need politics for? Most had never even registered to vote back then. So Christians left their homes, went to work, and went to church. That was it. That's all they wanted, because Jesus was coming back again. So what I need to vote for? Some of y'all still believe that today. Yes, he is coming back, but you feel that you don't need to do anything in politics or in government or in civil duties or anything like that. You don't need to do anything dealing with a police shooting a black man. Okay, you don't need to get involved in that. Don't worry about that. Let's just pray and stay in our churches. That's what you feel, and you're part of the problem. Yeah. Sean T. Okay, there it is. Yeah. Sean T. Okay, all right. So they said we don't need to vote. So in walked a man his name still reigns supreme even today. He's dead now, but his son is part responsible for this man we've got in office. The Thomas Road Baptist Church in Virginia. His name is Jerry Falwell. Anybody ever heard of Jerry Falwell? Yeah, y'all remember him coming on the air in the mornings or on Sundays, I think it was. And there he was in black and white. He was against getting involved in civil rights movement and communism. And he said, stick to preaching the gospel. We don't need to get involved in any of that stuff. Let black people get beat up by the KKK. We don't care about Jim Crow laws. We don't care about black folk. We don't want them even coming, enrolling in our schools, because these churches were setting up religious schools and Bible colleges and what have you, and you were not allowed. You were not allowed. And it was one reason, well, it is the reason why we have the HBCUs today, historical black colleges today. Thank God that they've been set up. But prior to that, we wouldn't have had them if we were not allowed in the white universities and colleges. Even set up by our so-called Christian brothers and sisters. All right, so that's the Thomas Road Baptist Church, all right, Old Falwell. Well, a man by the name of Francis A. Schaeffer, his son now. It's just amazing how the sons of these two rivals, all right, are now the ones on the scene, are the voices for the left and the right. Falwell Sr. was on the right. Francis A. Schaeffer was kind of in the middle, all right? But Schaeffer's son kind of turned and went straight left, all right? He would be like Clinton, like what's his name? Ronald Reagan's son, Ron Reagan Jr. Ron Reagan Jr. is left to right. Well, I don't even know if he ever was right. He went straight left, far left. Matter of fact, he's an atheist, so he fell right off the globe. Okay? Francis A. Schaeffer, a fundamentalist. He began to preach against humanism and the rage of the 1960s and free love and sex and all these things, these hippies. And the Catholics, they fought against this abortion in 1972. And the evangelicals reluctantly, they jumped in, but they said, well, it's really not our fight. Abortion is not our fight. That's the Catholics' fight. And Jerry Falwell, he jumped in with his 1978 sermon on abortion. And the word spread. And he called it the moral majority. I'm trying to give y'all this history lesson. Y'all don't understand what's going on here. It's a nerd day. He called it the moral majority, right? Well, at that time, it was a perfect storm because the great Ronald Reagan, he was governor, of course, at the time of California, and he jumped in there. He wanted to run for president of the United States, all right? Joined forces with Falwell through this thing called the moral majority campaign, and he registered 10 million evangelicals. Ronald Reagan did. You want to know what the problem is today with the white evangelical? Go back to two people. Go back to Falwell and go back to Ronald Reagan. Those two. That's one reason why we have the problems we have today with white evangelicals. Not all of them, but a whole lot of them. They are the reason why we have a Trump in office today. Reagan made lots of promises, a whole lot of them, but he hardly honored any of them. So he let Falwell down, and Falwell disbanded the move, and then in walked Pat Robertson. That old man that comes on the TV and tell y'all that the reason why that man shot up 58 people and killed them and 500 some wounded, he says, the old man Pat Robertson, y'all know him, the 700 Club, he said they died because they would not honor the flag. Y'all getting on your knees during the white national bigot anthem, okay? You're getting on your knees during this anthem, and Pat Robertson says God had to kill 58 people because of it. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, Shante, whatever, that's him. Yeah, okay, so Robinson took the torch, and then he ran for president. Some of y'all remember, maybe y'all too young. Okay, well, African Americans then had to make a decision whether to be Republican or Democrat, because most of your forefathers were Republicans. It was the Republican Party who freed the slaves, who brought in Abraham Lincoln. It was a new party called the Republican Party, all right? At least that's the way the story goes. Of course, we know it freed some slaves, and then the acts of the amendments came in and what have you. But we were Republicans, most of us. We didn't start jumping ship until around, I say 1930s, when we had Roosevelt in office, and the vice president has a lot to do with it, and the programs. The New Deal came along, and we would begin to kind of jump slowly, but not a whole lot of it, just slowly beginning to change over. It wasn't until LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, he was against this civil rights legislation. He really was. Okay, and now, the reason why we're Democrats today was because of the Civil Rights Bill. Harry Truman, the vice president, after Roosevelt died, Harry Truman became the man, and Harry Truman, we know, was one of the big guys. He was the KKK. We know that now. We didn't know it then, but we know it now. All right, he was part of that, and he was, gosh, I don't even know a president yet prior to the last couple who was not really a bigot. I just don't know any. Okay. Anyway, he pushed in this thing. I can't go too deep into that. All right, I just can't go too deep in that. All right. So back in the day, we had Walter Cronkite and Tom Brokaw, and we had Peter Jennings, and we had Dan Rather, and we were given unbiased news, opposed to what we are getting today, which is like the difference between interpretation and translation. They're not translating. They're not interpreting the news. They're translating the news today. That's what's going on in our news today. Yes, they came out of the abolitionist movement, Republicans, that's right. Dietrich says Pat Robertson is racist and delusional and dangerous. He has a huge platform. Yes, he does. He's absolutely dangerous. I've read a few of the 700 Club shows, but he was not hosting. Oh yeah, I remember them days. Okay, so let's take y'all back. American Revolutionary War. All right, African Americans fought in every war that the Americans have launched. Every war that was declared. Okay, we only know about really two that was really declared by Congress. Well, World War I, World War II, I guess, I don't know, maybe the American Revolution was declared, all right? But after World War I don't remember us declaring war on nobody. What we have reports that most blacks fought on the Patriot side, and recent research concluded there were about 9,000 black Patriot soldiers, counting the Continental Army and the Navy and the state militia. That's a whole lot of folks, y'all. Okay? As well as privateers, wagoneers in the Army, and servants to officers and spies. And Raphael, he notes that while thousands did join the loyalist cause, a far larger number, free as well as slaves, tried to further their interest by siding with the Patriots. In walked Crispus Attucks. He didn't walk very long. Crispus Attucks shot dead by a British soldier in the Boston, Massachusetts, or the Boston Massacre in 1770, and he is now, of course, an iconic martyr to patriots, right? We have to be involved in the political arena. If we don't, eventually we will be ruled by inferior. Yeah, by the inferior, absolutely, all right? Now, my internet kind of went down, and I don't know if y'all are still here, let me know, because I lost my internet, and I just want y'all to let me know. Oh, okay, I see me, so I must be here. Okay, it went away, but it back again. Sorry if I lost you. Okay, that's the American Revolution, all right? The National Archives, by the end of the Civil War, 179,000 black men. That's 10% of the Union Army. 10% of the Union Army served as soldiers in the U.S. Army. And another 19,000 served in the Navy. Nearly 40,000 black soldiers died over the course of the war. 30,000 of infectious or disease. And black soldiers served in artillery and infantry and performed all non-combat support functions that sustained an army, as well as black carpenters. They were chaplains, they were cooks, they were guards, laborers, nurses, they were scouts and spies and steamboat pilots. They were surgeons and teamsters, also contributed to the war cause. And there were nearly 80 black commissioned officers, black women who could not formally join the army. Nonetheless, they also served as nurses and spies and scouts. And the most famous, of course, being Harriet Tubman, who scouted for the 2nd South Carolina Volunteers. Yes, she did. Many of you didn't know that. I know you didn't. That's the history of African Americans in American history that we don't talk about. Many African Americans lost their lives to fight for the freedom of America. We have every right to kneel down during the national anthem. We do. But let Fox News talk about it. Whenever they address racism, it turns racist. Do y'all hear that? Every time Fox News address racism, it turns racist. They will always interview a white guy and then a black guy. They'll put them up against each other, and then what they'll do is then they'll go and find a black Republican to be the middle guy. All right? But the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, says 99.9% of all arrests do not result in any violence at all. 99.9% of all the rest, they don't result in any violence. 140, let's see, at the time of this thing, I think it was last year, 147 blacks were killed by cops. 147 blacks were killed by cops. 268 whites were killed by cops. Why was there more whites? Because there are more whites in America than there are blacks. When you look at the percentage of how many black people in America, it's small. We call ourselves a minority anyway. When white racists attack those blacks in the sit-ins and Woolworths, or beat the Freedom Riders of the Trailway and the Greyhound buses, they beat it to a pulp. And a mob of whites lynching blacks, they brutally tortured poor little Emmett Till in the garage, and they hung him and shot him in the head and tied a fan around his neck and tossed his body in the river. All of that was against the laws of the land. It also was against the laws of God, okay, and personhood and humanity. And I want to talk about this after this break. All right? Sir Walter Jones Show. Y'all stay with me now. Stay with me. I'm still talking. I'm still talking and slurping. I did 1 hour. Why is it so hard to do the show here, but at the house I can do an hour and a half and no problem? No problem. No problem. I know, Deatrice, those are horrible percentages. Horrible percentages. 147 blacks killed. Now, whose fault was it though? Was it these black guys' fault? Were they running away? Were they resisting arrest? We don't know. But I will say, I'm not going to celebrate every black man who got shot like some of y'all do. You go running and marching in the street because every black man. But I'm going to tell y'all something. No man needs to be shot dead. But I will say, some of these guys wanted it, whether they knew it or not. Because if I'm going to approach a man who's an authoritative figure with a gun and he got all these other people behind him, the whole police force, and this little skinny boy right here going to try to resist this guy with all this artillery on his side and in his trunk of his cop car, I'm the fool. Yeah, I'm the fool. It'd be better that I fight him in the courthouse. Yeah, many times we lose in the courthouse. But I tell you, at least I live long enough to get to the courthouse. I know. Everybody wants a Johnny Cochran story. I know. But everybody ain't going to get it. I just need you to know, I'm not going to celebrate every thug that gets shot. Y'all already know my stand. I get in trouble for saying that a lot. Y'all know my ministry. You know what it's called, right? I don't get, okay. We can't march for everything. Have to check the situation. There it is. Shantae said it. I ain't say it. She said it. So y'all blame her for lashing out on y'all like that. You know what? She don't care either. Her ministry, she registered her ministry the same time I registered mine. I don't care that org. She's a religious organization, so you got to put .org behind hers. I'm IDon'tCare.com. All right, I think I'm coming back. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Welcome back to the Sir Walter Jones Show. I'm he. I'm the great Alvin Washington. I tell you, I'm just excited to be here. Great old Barnesville, culturally rich neighborhood in Chicago, where the all kind of great jazz music and art and man, just great culture. If you're ever in Chicago, look me up. My name is D. Curtis Randall, and I'm the guy with the striped shirt and kind of bald head, yeah, and dirt on my face because I look like Santa Claus. His face is dirty, y'all. You got hair all over the place. They are murdering those who have lawsuits pending as well. Yeah. Ain't that something, Shantae? I'm telling y'all, Shantae is saying stuff. I would tell y'all where she lived, but I don't know where she lived. Shadrach, Meshach, and the Abednego. Remember those guys? Yeah, Shadrach, Meshach, and the bad Negro. Those three guys right there. Hebrew name Hananiah. Okay, that's Shadrach, Hananiah, or Yahweh is gracious. Mishael, that's that names mean who is like God. And Meshach is Azariah, or Yah has helped. Yeah, that's those guys. All right. And they had the same issues. There's nothing new under the sun. These guys, Jewish, they were youths of noble birth, without physical defect, and handsome. They were taken to a place called Babylon to serve in the place under King Nebuchadnezzar. In his place in his palace, and they learned the literature. They learned the language of the Chaldeans. Ooh, Africans! I'm trying to tell y'all something going on here. Okay, that means both the Babylonians and the court magicians. This background is related in chapter 1 of Daniel. Just go there. And soon they were appointed to high offices over the province of Babylon. Just because you guys, you African Americans, are getting these high positions in politics don't mean a hill of beans. I think somebody sang it best. I think it was called The Story of OJ by the great prophet Jay-Z. Don't get excited because they've lifted you up to a place of hierarchy and you making six figures. That don't mean nothing, because whenever you look in the mirror, you still, I can't say it on the air. Yeah, Tokenism 2017. Shantae said it for me. All right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That's what y'all are. You up there, okay? Okay, King Nebuchadnezzar set up a golden statue on the plain of Dura in Babylon, and commanded that all should worship it or they will face death. Remember, Donald Trump was in his boardroom, and he said, "I'm gonna go from person to person to person and tell me what you think about me." Did y'all see that on the news? And he went from person to person, and y'all had to praise and worship this man. Y'all didn't see that? I'm talking about from Amarosa on down to that black preacher, to all these other folks. And they was like, we want to thank God for blessing us with your presence, Donald Trump. Remember that? Yeah. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had to bow down to this golden statue. Golden. Look at it. Look at his face. Look at Trump's face, okay? All right. I've said it, and I'm getting in trouble. Yep, they had to praise him or lose their position because he is the firing man. You're fired. Narcissistics, okay? When you get power to narcissistic-ism, okay, you're going to lose. All right? Because this sickness that's in this person will reign supreme in his body. Yep. All right? So y'all know the story of Nebuchadnezzar and these three Hebrew boys. I just wanted to bring that up. I just want y'all to let y'all know what's going on here. Okay? So this thing about racism and bigotry, okay, and these things have names and they have meanings, and they are applied to us depending on what the situation is. And you have to understand that racialism is a word. Race is a word, okay? Racism is a word, but it's difficult to define these words. When you go to Google, it'll tell you it's kind of difficult to define what race or racism is, because there is only one race. It's called the human race. You understand? So when we put ism behind it, what does that mean? All right? You got not ism but ist, racist. Okay? What is a seamstress? What is a biologist? What is a dentist and a chemist? What is a pianist, a humorist, a vocalist, a lyricist, a psalmist, an organist, a psychologist? What are they? They are people who work in that field. That's what they do. and it's something that they cherish. It's more positive than negative. But what is a racist? Okay, all right. So we have to break these things down. Okay, so when whites and KKKs when they were killing black people back in the South in the 1940s and 50s and 60s during Jim Crow, after the civil rights law was passed by LBJ, they couldn't say that this man killed this man because he was a racist. He committed a racist crime. There's actually no such thing as a racist crime. Okay, what it's called is he was violating a man's civil rights. The reason why they couldn't tell you it was a racist crime because they can't define racist. You see what I'm saying? Again, you got to go back and think about this stuff. Go back to Google and look at the word and see how it was difficult for Google to Wikipedia, that is, to define it. So, because the law don't charge someone with a racist crime, they charge you with violation of civil rights. Or what's called a hate crime. But they can't say a racist crime. There's no such crime on the book that's designated as race. Hate, violation of civil rights, yes. All right? Hope that helps you out. Okay? So, we have several words that you might have heard before. Racial prejudice. Okay? Notice that. It's not so much prejudice, because we all are prejudiced towards something. When I went to, that notice that comes to your house from the court saying you got to go to jury duty and you better show up. When I sat there and they were testing us to see if we would take the case, and they asked the simple question, are you racist? All right, they asked everybody that. We all said, of course we're not racist. And the judge says, all of y'all are lying. They asked, are we prejudiced? And he said, all of y'all are lying. He says, everybody is prejudiced of something. And I said, you know what? That judge got a point. People who created the system have a hard time defending something they operate in. Yep, they sure do, Shante says. He says, everybody's prejudiced. See, there's a difference. There is what's called a preference. And what we have done is we've placed preference with prejudice. Okay? Because I'm prejudiced with my money. See, I would rather have $50 and $100 bills more so than I would $20 bills in my pocket. I'm prejudiced towards these dead presidents in my pocket. I don't want to see a whole bunch of ones. I'm prejudiced against them. I want to see $20, 50, and hundreds. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so racial, they have to put racial prejudice. It's like demonology. You can't just say, I'm studying demonology. You got to define what kind of demonology. That's called Christian demonology, and then there's world demonology, you see? So when you go to Google, you type in demonology, it's going to ask you a question. What kind of demonology? Because we don't believe in every demon that the world has made up. We believe in Christian demonology, what the Bible explains, but we don't believe in this other stuff that the world thinks that's there, but doesn't exist. Does that make sense? Like a portuguese. Man made up the thing portuguese, and when we began to believe it, thinking that that's scripture, but in essence, that's not, but that type. All right. I'm going somewhere with this. All right. Number 2 is xenophobia. Many of you never even heard that word until Donald Trump ran for office. Many of you never heard of xenophobia. And I've been using that word for many, many years. Xenophobia, that's Xenophobia. And if you ask the average black person to spell it, he's going to put a Z in there. Xenophobia. It's intense or irrational dislike. Or fear of people from other countries. Americans hate Cubans. Americans hate Mexicans. It's proven now Americans hate Puerto Ricans even though they're not from another country. They're just from across the water. They belong to us. But I'm getting ready to do a show on why Puerto Rico is being treated the way they are today. There is a reason why the president took almost 2 weeks to land his plane over there. Yes. There's 2 responders that showed up. There was the first responders and then the last responder. That was Donald Trump. Yeah. He didn't want to go over there at all. He didn't want to send no money over there at all. Then when he went over there, he insulted them by saying, how dare y'all have a hurricane? You messing up my budget. How dare you? Now I got to come over here and help you people. You poor, you in debt, you owe America this, okay? And you're going to turn around and have a hurricane? Yes, that's xenophobia. That is a intense, irrational dislike and a fear. Now, when black people are feared, they're hated, but they're more feared than they are hated. You hear me, right? That's why they're hated. They're fearful, and this fear caused a deeper thing to happen, hatred. That's what I believe. So that's why you see the old lady clutch her purse. And not because she hates you, she's clutching her purse because she's afraid of you. Number 3, chauvinism. Chauvinism. They are half African. That is a problem. Yep. Angela says, chauvinism is a word. All right? That's C-H-A-U-V, y'all. Chauvinism. That's exaggerated belief in the supremacy of one's nation or his class or his caste, C-A-S-T-E, or his group. And it usually involves xenophobia. That's why sometimes these words interlock, they're interchangeable. A xenophobic person is also a person who's chauvinistic. So that's why we have the guy we have in office right now. He's not only narcissistic, he's also chauvinistic, and he's a xenophobe. Just messed up all over the place. All right? Then you have what's called bigotry. Bigotry. And many Christians, believe it or not, are bigots. You're like, what? Then how can they be Christians? I know. It's baffling to me, isn't it? Okay? Bigotry is a state of mind where a person strongly, obstinately, irrationally, unfairly, or intolerantly dislike other people or opinions that differ from their own. Okay, for example, some examples include a person's beliefs, that person's belief, that person's race, that person's religion, that person's national origin, that person's gender, that person's disability, that person's his seal orientation, that person's socio-economic status, or other group characteristics. You are a bigot against everything about that person. That's right, I said even the person who's disabled, we are bigots against them as well. Deatra says he possessed the dark triad. Yes, okay? Then there's a word called casteism. C-A-S-T-E-I-S-M. It's a class structure that is determined by birth. Loosely, it means that in some societies, if your parents are poor, you're going to be poor too. Sounds familiar, isn't it? And that's really like a Hinduism. That's a Hindu belief, okay? The Jews, many of them believe that as well. The boy was born blind, and they figured there was something that either he did or his parents did. Okay? It's casteism. If your parents are poor, you're going to be poor. It's like y'all call it generational curses. Yes, Shantae says India. Yep, I said it. Boy, we on point, Shantae. Okay? Then this last word is called discrimination. We hear this a lot. All right? It's action that denies social participation or human rights to categories of people based on prejudice. Understand? These words are very important. They're placed there in categories to properly define them. And we just throw out, you're racist, you're racist. Well, racist is such a broad term. You understand what I'm saying? It's just so broad. So you got to kind of break it down into words that mean more specifics. That's why the English language is so messed up. That's why I like Greek or Hebrew or maybe even Aramaic more than I do English, because we borrow all our language, all our words really borrowed from. If you look in the encyclopedia under one of our words, it says derivative of Rome, Latin, Greek, Spanish, French. You see what I'm saying? We ain't got nothing. We ain't anyway. We done stole everything. Okay? Discrimination is action that denies social participation. Okay? This includes treatment of an individual or a group based on their actual or perceived membership in a certain group or social category in a way that is worse than the way people are usually treated. You see? That's discrimination in the way that they're not usually treated. So, housing always pop up. Housing discrimination. Housing discrimination does not bring about a racist lawsuit. It brings about a discrimination lawsuit. Yeah. And then in walks affirmative action. But this should not be a mystery to you who are Christians, because of Matthew 24:7, and I quote it quite often. In the last days there will be nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There was racial strife all the way back in antiquity. It's always been that way. It will always be that way until Jesus Christ comes again. The Greek word, of course, is ethnos against ethnos. That's people. Okay, depending on their race. Ethnos against ethnos, and then of course basilia against basilia. That's religion against religion. Okay, and that's what we have today. Whenever there's a bombing, what have you, somebody take credit for, whether it's ISIS, ISIL, the Taliban, and other names that we don't hear anymore. We keep hearing about ISIS, but ISIS ain't the only one. Okay, those other guys are still reigning supreme. I believe it or not. Okay. Now, why are white people afraid of black men was the last show that I'm going to talk about that I did. Okay, and boy, I tell you, it can get kind of tricky here. Yeah, it can get kind of tricky. Racism equals prejudice plus power. Yes, Shante. For conservative rights. Oh yeah, thank you. Boko Haram. ISIS, of course, and the KKK. These are terrorist groups. Absolutely. Of course, the United States is trying to get Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group, and they already took out the Black Panthers because they said they were a terrorist group. You know, so that's another show. Y'all already know that, right? For conservative white people, the dominant fear is of someday living without the privilege that comes with whiteness. Man, I might get in trouble for this one. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. For conservative whites, the dominant fear is of someday living without the privilege that comes with whiteness. Yes. Polite conservatives defend the primacy of various aspects of the Western civilization. More reactionary whites are openly racist about the threat that non-white people pose to our way of life. They're coming after our guns and our women and our businesses and our money. They're coming after our jobs. Yes, so build the wall. And the ones who don't really have a territory that they can go back to a place, then we restrict them here. We can't say go back to your homeland. Well, they don't really have one. They were born here, all right? But the Mexicans, we send them and build a wall. But these other ones who are here, we got to find a way to keep them away from our whiteness, our way of life, making America great again. Yes, both versions shore up the existing distribution of wealth and power, even though many of the working class and poor whites who endorse such views have access to precious little wealth or power, even poor whites. Race is used by white elites today, just as it was in the nation's formative years, to drive a wedge between people who would otherwise come together to challenge these elites. Divide and conquer strategies, it seems, never will go out of style. Divide and conquer. Yes, the Browning of America. Yes. Liberals are quick to denounce both the thinly veiled and the openly reactionary conservative racism, okay? We're going to talk about liberals, liberality. We're talking about the Democrats, okay, too, all right? Understand something, y'all. Don't get caught up in the rope-a-dope. I told y'all about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, okay? Folk will let you come in their house and have dinner, but they ain't going to let you marry the daughter, all right? So y'all keep parading for the Democratic Party all you want to. All right? Good luck with that, because I need you to know something. There's whiteness over there too. All right. So liberals are quick to denounce both the thinly veiled and the openly reactionary conservative racism. Yes. But what of the fears? What are their fears? Liberals, what are their fears? White liberals might reject the very idea that they are even afraid. We ain't afraid. Look at all these black folk in the Democratic Party. Look at all these black folk in the Democratic Convention. Look at all these black folk. Look, they all with us. Look at the Republican Convention. You see 1, 2, maybe 3 black folks. Okay, you have to look really hard, and they'll put somebody on the stage to let y'all know. But look at our party. We just a one melting pot. So white liberals might reject the very idea they are afraid, citing their support for diversity and multiculturalism. Oh, we just one happy family. We are family. Yeah, I got all my Negroes with me. So, but my experience suggests that while white liberals reject conservative assertions of white supremacy, many fear the loss of white centrality. Oh, that's another word. White centrality. Yeah. White liberals are willing to renounce the idea that white people are superior. They will renounce it. As long, though, as they are allowed to live comfortably in a world where white is the norm. Oh, man. I'm about to get shut down. Facebook gonna shut this down, man. They're gonna shut it down. Yeah. Both the conservative and liberal positions are based on the same underlying assertion. Same one. Y'all know I never talk like this, but I don't care. It's crucial now. I'm white and I'm special. Okay, look at the affirmative action. Look at how many white people are benefited from it. Look at the girl who tried to sue the college because of the affirmative action. Okay. All right, I'm white and I'm special. Conservatives are more likely to say it openly, yeah, while liberals tend to offer platitudes about racial justice while avoiding the risks required to make good on anti-racist principles. What remains obscure is the distinct uncivilized nature that Europeans and European Americans exhibited during their barbaric conquest of much of the world. The inherently fragile sense of white self-importance that emerged from the history is at the core of white fear. And at some level, we all know the truth of the depravity of white supremacy believes the claims of white supremacy and centrality. It's just a pig with lipstick. Yes. That's why the DNC said, don't answer the promise anything to be, specifically it says don't answer or don't promise them. Nothing is specific. I know something. Black Lives Matter. So, white Americans are more afraid of black men than any other group in the country. Afraid. They hate Mexicans. They hate Puerto Ricans. But they are afraid of black men. Do you understand me? If you never heard me say anything, understand this. They are afraid till they begin to turn colors when we show up to some places. They hate those other people, but they are afraid of us. They tremor at our mere presence. I lived among them for many years. Trust me, they are afraid. And you can feel the fear in them. So what we have to do as black men is we have to make them feel comfortable while they're in the room with us. Oh man, I'm messing up. I'm messing up. I'm messing up. I'm trying to tell y'all. I'm not saying all white people. I got a lot of them who we kick it and we go out to eat. We have a great time. They ain't afraid of me whatsoever. I'm talking about the ones whom I lived with. I lived in South Dakota where they was everywhere. When I walked in the room, fear overtook them. I felt the fear. So what I had to do, unfortunately, is I had to actually put on certain outfits when I left the house, and I told my son the same thing. He lived there with me. My daughter lived there too. I told them, put on certain outfits when you leave the house because these people are afraid of you. They don't know that you're a kind man. They don't know that you would give them a shirt off your back. They don't know that. They watch TV and that's what they think that is how all black people are, because ain't many of them here in town. So they have already profiled you when you walked in the door. So now you have to make them feel comfortable and make them feel safe. Speak to them. Say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Just be a gentleman and wear a certain outfit. Don't be all over the place. Be decent. You can wear street clothes, but make sure they're clean and pressed and all kinds of things. I know it's unfortunate, isn't it? But we live among them. You think you're the minority in America? We was the triple minority in South Dakota. You can literally count the black people in that entire town. Everybody knew that there was 5 black people who lived in that town. You understand what I'm saying? So we had to act a certain way. Why? Because we know that they were afraid of us. Yes, truth. Black people spend a lot of time calming fears while few stand up for us. Yep. I'm trying to tell y'all. In one test, researchers found that black males elicited the most negative reactions from white subjects. Simply seeing them was enough to make participants feel uncomfortable. This is a test. And in 2009 survey on the question of blacks and violence, drawn from a national representative sample of white Americans, more than 30% said that blacks were more violent than whites. Responders were also asked specifically about violence among black men versus white men, black women, and white women. The results were more than 40% said that many or almost all black men were violent, compared to less than 20% who said the same of black women or white men, and less than 10% who said the same of white women. That's what we're up under, y'all. And this is what we have to live up under. It is an unfortunate thing, but we just have to deal with it. Okay? Now I want to lastly bring up this gun control thing. Gun control. The history of American guns. All right? It's really about racism and prejudice. It really is. Yeah, not everyone is a hoodlum. That's right. We need to start catering. They need to start accepting us as face value. Yeah, but who commits mass murder, as Shantae says? Y'all know the answer. If you Google mass murders, just Google it, and go to the image section, look at the faces. Ain't no melting pot. It sure ain't. We don't do that kind of stuff. All right. In the early 20th century, the Sullivan Act in New York banned the carrying of small arms. It was likely aimed at Italian immigrants. All right? I'm talking about y'all's Second Amendment. It was aimed at Italian immigrants, but for most of modern history, the major target was blacks. Gun control. Yeah, gun control. Ah, man. Yeah, Nat Turner and the Black Codes, Malcolm X and the Black Panthers, Huey P. Newton, remember him? They put fear. White folks. The Kermer Commission and the Mulford Act. Yeah. See, if you're not at the negotiating table, you're on the menu. Yes, you are. The heads of the NRA, National Rifle Association, they blame corrupt videos, the corrupt video industry for gun violence. That's what that Wayne, whatever his name is, Lapierre or somebody, okay? That's what he blamed. He blamed them for it. But it's called SSRI, Selective Serotonin Reuptake Inhibitors, or what we may call antidepressants. That's what's killing America, not guns. Antidepressants, the United States is the #1 intake for antidepressants. We are a depressed nation. We are the most violent nation. We have more people in prison than any other nation in the world, which means that we're probably the most demonic. Yes, antidepressants. That's what's killing America. 1 in 10 Americans take them. We're hooked on it. We're hooked on antidepressants, and we are clinging to our guns. At least whites are, and some of these thugs, these black thugs in our streets are. But the majority of those guns, whose homes are they in? Yeah. Antidepressants, and we're hooked on gas, petroleum, fossil fuel, America. And we are taking all of the steps that Rome took before they imploded. Yes, there's a 400% rise in antidepressant use. 400% rise in antidepressants. That's healthland.time.com. You can go there. The FDA finds link between antidepressants and violence. Go to the FDA.gov. Suicide's now America's leading cause of death by injury. Go to the HuffingtonPost.com. We are hooked on this stuff. 70% of Americans are on psychotropic drugs. Yep, black people were not allowed to preach the Bible for years after Nat Turner. I know. Yes, So you want to know what's going on with America today? I just told you in an hour and a half. I'll repeat. This is nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. We're only repeating what they did in antiquity. Nothing new, Ecclesiastes says. And we've been captured, taken away from a land which is the birthplace, that they say, of civilization, although some will fight over whether it's Turkey, Mesopotamia, which is the former name. Okay, some will say Bangladesh, not Bangladesh, Iraq or Iran. It's really Iraq. Babylon is really what I'm trying to say. Where the Tower of Babel comes, okay, birthplace of civilization. We got different places that we placed it, even the Garden of Eden. Okay, we look at the rivers that ran through the garden, the Pison, the Tigris and the Euphrates, and there was one other river. There's 4 rivers that ran through the Garden of Eden. And now there's 2 rivers left, the Euphrates and the Tigris, and now they are located up in the upper peninsula, over there where Turkey is, I believe. They're there. So now what we do is we're trying to trace where those 2 rivers are and say that's where the Garden of Eden is, and people have taken it out of Africa. Well, what you may not understand is that geographically things changed and shifted. Things got renamed because there was a flood that hit the earth. And the whole earth, the Bible says, was underwater. Once the water receded, who did the renaming? Who moved the Tigris and the Euphrates? Well, God's still going to He's going to still deal with those 2 rivers, because in the last days, the book of Revelation, the Antichrist is going to act a fool and try to reign supreme, and wars are going to come. Of course, America may not be around. We may have joined forces with some other nation, because our currency now is weakening and weakening and weakening. Before it's not going to be worth anything. We're going to have to join forces like with a new North American currency, or like the euro. Okay, so that money that you have in your pocketbooks, a lot of that won't be worth. The Bible kind of alludes to you'll have to burn that money just to get warm. Money is not going to be worth anything. A loaf of bread is going to cost you $1,000, pretty much. Okay, all right. So, but God mentions He's going to dry up the Euphrates River, because that's the dividing line where the east is going to come over into the Holy Land. That's those Asian territories. They can't cross over. They got to swim or take boats, but God's going to have it dried up so they can come over, and every nation is going to go and try to attack that one piece of land called Jerusalem, and then God will speak. Now that's eschatology, and I know that wasn't this show, and I kind of mixed it in there, but I was kind of done talking about this whole racial thing, and I just thought I'd slip it in there, because y'all know I'm kind of a nerd, and I kind of learned my nerdicity from many of you, especially Shantae and Natalie Bullock. Those are my 2 biggest nerds in American history. And so I talk about that stuff. Then Demetria Triplett, and she come in here and remind me how much of a nerd I am by her saying nerdy things. Okay? All right, now, what's the resolve in all of this? What's the resolve? How to resolve this? All right. Well, the best way to resolve something, or to fix something, or to try to deal or live peaceably with something that that you're encamped around, or that's encamping you. Nerd cred. Yep. Now I got nerd cred. Is this number one? You can't forget about Christ Jesus and what He's done. The reason why He died on the cross. You can't do that. Y'all do know this is a Christian show, right? So you know I have to bring that up. Okay? You have to keep your focus on Christ. Keep your focus on it. Get up early and pray and ask God to keep your home. All right. Now, but then you have to ask him to give you the strength to leave your house and try to affect someone positive. See, well, what Christians have done was we became selfish and say, money comes to me now, and I need this now. And it's always about me, myself, and I whenever you pray to God. And when you look at a really good man, you look at a man who was a righteous man, you also pay attention to how he prayed. Pay close attention to how he prayed. He don't pray for worldly possession. Oh, man, I just don't know what I'm doing. You was smart, you was kind, you was important to meet the truth. Okay, that's good. A good man don't pray for worldly possession. No. Jesus Christ told the disciples how to pray and the manner in how to pray. You see, he told them how to pray, and notice he didn't put in worldly possessions in the prayer. So we call that the Lord's Prayer, and we pray it, and then when we get to praying that word for word, verbatim, then we go into praying for worldly possessions, and that was not even in the prayer. He only said, give us this day our daily bread. And then he said, now we forgive us. Okay, now, does that mean you should never pray for worldly possessions? Well, every time you pray, you're focusing on God, give me this worldly possession, and really your soul is messed up. Why? How do we know? Because the people in your neighborhood don't even know you. The people on your job can't even come to you for a wonderful, good, holy word of advice for prayer or anything. Because why? Because you ran with them too. You was at the stripper joint the night before, just like them. They can't come to you, and you're the light of the world, so they can't come to you. So what you've done was you hid it under a bushel. Yes, Matthew 6:33. Go ahead, Shantae. This is good stuff. Okay? So you hid it. Okay? So Jesus' remedy for that is this is how you pray. Since y'all want to know how to pray, you pray in this manner. And a good man prayed that way for the protection and the peace and the strength of his spiritual life, okay, and pray for the mobility of his body that he might be healed so that he can go out there and affect someone's life. You see, God doesn't bless you with finances and worldly possessions so that you can keep it. He don't even bless you and heal you so that you can even keep that, all right? He do that so that you can have the strength to go out there and win others, to evangelize others, to be disciples for him, go out into the highways and byways and compel them. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, naturally, you get your ducks in a row. You go out there and find a way to make more money. Okay? Find a way to cut out some of the expenses that you have in your home. Get rid of things that you don't need. You guys got ACHs coming out of your bank accounts automatically. You could cut some of that stuff off. You ain't used it. Some of y'all got memberships at these places that you don't even use the membership, but yet they're charging your card every month. You need to get rid of that stuff. Cut it off, because the day a Puerto Rican, a Puerto Rico, or a Mexico, or a Irma, or a Harvey, or a Katrina may come your way one day, and you won't be ready. So you find ways to make more money and keep it. Store it away. Invest in your home and in yourself, not in the church. Invest in your home and in yourself. Because let me tell you, if you invest all your money in the church, one day that church may crumble, or it may close the door, or the pastor may pass and this church will split. Now you got to go somewhere, and all your money is invested in that church house, and the building don't even belong to you. It belongs to a Bank of America, a city corp, a city bank, a Chase, a PNC. Okay? It belongs to Capital One. It belongs to U.S. Bank. Okay? It don't even belong to you. So you don't put all that money into this building that don't even belong to you, and then generation after generation, still the mortgage ain't paid on it. Yet your house is now in foreclosure. You're hiding your car because of the repo man is coming, and utilities are all about to be in trouble. Okay, and you have no insurance, no life insurance, no health insurance, no nothing, and so God is asking you a question through me. What are you doing? How are you preparing for the future? Instead of complaining about a green goblin that's sitting in the White House. I don't know what color he is today. All right? And you're complaining about him, and then you go home to despair, and your children are suffering because you're too lazy. So, it's time. You've got education going on right in front of you that you don't have to pay for, and you're ignoring it. Not just my show. You go on YouTube. There's YouTube videos galore. There's a Google out there. There's the library. You're paying for cable. Why don't you turn on the Market Report, CNBC, Fox Business, HLN? Okay, check the reports. Bloomberg, check the stock reports and find out what's going on there. You don't do any of that, do you? No, you watch these shows that don't benefit nothing for you, and 15 years from now, you're either going to be in the same position financially or a worse position, and then it might be too late then. And you could have built up 15 years of some type of money management to whereas eventually you're going to turn 65, 70, and then you won't be able to afford to retire, which is a shame. Because this SSI that's coming down the road won't be what you put in there. They're only going to give you a little bit of it if you get any of it. So did I set you up? Yes, I did. It's time, my black brothers and sisters, to stop acting lazy and shiftless. And God says, how can you even rule in the house of God when your house is in disarray? You're worse than an infidel. Your children don't hold you in gravity. The Bible uses the word gravity. That means respect. They don't honor you at home. But then you come to the church and try to rule the church. And you're unstable. Scripture says you're unstable as water. You're no good to the body of Christ. So you should not be complaining about anything. You should be complaining that you are slothful. And go to Proverbs chapter 6. I did an in-depth teaching. Go on my YouTube channel on slothfulness. I talked for a good hour and a half on slothfulness. And the Bible says, consider the way of the ant, thou sluggard, you slothful person. And it says, because you spend too much time being slothful, poverty comes your way. See, in some people, grace and mercy follow them. But in others, poverty follows them. Have you ever met somebody who's got the spirit of poverty? I have. Every time I go among my people, even at church, I see poverty, 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 poor, poor, poverty. And I says, oh my God, why do I keep showing up to this place when I'm seeing all this poverty? How is that benefiting me? How is that helping me? How is that motivating me? All right? So it's time. And I understand that sometimes things happen in our lives. Something happened to me the other day. Somebody stole money out of my bank account the other day. You know, I got an account because I'm trying to shove money this way and shove money that way and build up my nest egg for my children's children. And I went to the ATM and put my card in there, and I deposited. I had a check to deposit in there, and the ATM froze on me. Just froze up. And I stood there waiting on the thing to, I said, you gotta hurry up. I'm out here at nighttime, do something. And the thing just kept, you know how that Apple thing, that little circle, when you see that Apple circle, you're in trouble. And it just kept scanning. And I stood out there for about 30 minutes waiting on it. I can't wait no longer. I don't know what's going to happen to my ATM card or my deposit. I don't know nothing. Yeah, Natalie, so I pulled up, and then I called the bank, the hotline, and they says, well, don't worry about it. The ATM was going to take your card, take your deposit, and and if something should happen to your deposit, we'll credit it to you tomorrow. I said, okay. What's your name? Because I need to quote you. And he told me his name, and I went home. I woke up the next morning, Nellie. I woke up, and $200 had been deducted out of my account. Yes. And I says, I know exactly what just happened. I waited there 30 minutes, and I pulled off, and eventually that night somebody went to use the ATM, and there was my card, there was the deposit, and it was wide open for them to take whatever they wanted. So they took $200. Plus my deposit. They took that, and they wouldn't even put the deposit. At least you could have finished my transaction and take the $200. He took the check, took my card, and $200 and drove off. Now, the dummy, I'm sure, didn't cover his face and do all that. I'm sure he didn't think. When he pulls up to the ATM, there's a camera right there when you pull up. When you pull up, there's a camera pointing at your license plates, front and back. In Illinois, you got to have two, see? So he pulls up, camera got your license plates. You look at the ATM, because you don't know what's going on, so they already got your face. And then you go in there and take the money, and then you drive off. So I called them, and they said, Mr. Jones is probably going to take about 40 days before you get your money back. I said, what kind of mess is this? Well, you got to fill out this report, and you got to fax this paper over. I said, Lord have mercy. If I was out of town on a cruise somewhere and I relied on this one bank, I'd be in trouble. I'd be in trouble. So yeah, so they did that. So again, you got to be careful. You got to be sure. That's why I don't have just one bank. I got a few banks, because I know you put your trust in one thing, in man's thing, you're gonna be messed up. I don't know no wealthy person today who got one account. No, none, not none. All right. What do you think millionaires do with their money? They don't put it in a bank account. Oprah don't take her $1 billion and put it in Chase Bank. Oh no, oh no. That money is all over the place. It's all over the place, and it's invested in different type of commodities. You don't just do that, or you could be wiped out. Because if you got $1 million in one account, the FDIC, I think it is, they only insure about, what, 250,000, all right? I think that's the amount. Well, what you going to do with the other 700, okay? So, there it is. We don't know that, all right? So, yeah, that's what's going on in my life, yeah. They got to find the guy and clock him to get your money back here. Yeah, I know. 40 days for me to get that money back. Oh, I'm going to get that money back, but I got to suffer. All right? So these things are happening. All right? Hit the share button if you think you like this show. Go ahead and hit it. If you didn't like it, then don't do nothing. I hope it helped you for 2 hours today. And you can walk away from here, and if you decide to fail, it's your fault, not mine. I did what God told me to do. I talked about it, and I'll always get in trouble for the way I talk. And again, y'all know the name of my ministry. Can somebody put the name of my ministry down in the comment section below, please? Because y'all know sometimes I change the name depending on the day, but it's got a name. It's registered. All right. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let's talk tonight, maybe. Do a romance in the park. D. Curtis Randall, in the morning. Award winning. There's none other. Sir Walter Jones Show. Oh boy. That's about it, y'all. That's about it. It's probably cold too. It's lukewarm, so you know God gonna spit this out. Yeah, I know Maurice Gregory said nobody's fault but mine. Amen. Shantae, Charles, thank you for helping me with this show. Without you, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it. My millennials, one had to work. The other one's in school and work, so she's not with us anymore. So this one had to work. So I had to go solo today. Lord have mercy. Sometimes it's hard. That's why I like Thursdays, because then I get all these brothers in here and they can help me teach the Sunday school lesson. I like it. All right. Other than that, I can't do 2 hours by myself because that's just too much talking. I can do it in the park or at my office. I can't do it here. I don't know what it is. This is the atmosphere. What is it, Natalie? What do you think it is why I can't do it here? What is it? Is it because I got an engineer I got to look at his face? What is it? All right? Shantae Williams, I could be saying your name wrong. Can you somehow go in my inbox and say, my name is blah, 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 so I can really hear the pronunciation. Shantae. Pipple. Okay? Vanessa Craft, in my heart, you in my soul, you be my... Okay, whatever that song is. All right, good night. Good night, the actress. Good night. It's 6 o'clock p.m. What's going on in your bed that you got to be gone in it? I know you can invite people via Facebook. Shantae, I can't. They haven't rolled that out to iPhone yet. Shantae, for some reason, they haven't rolled that out to my iPhone yet. So I can't invite like Kobe can. Okay? What are you saying here? Go back to music shows on Wednesdays. I can't, Demetri, I can't go back to music shows because we have no speakers out here. So all you're going to be hearing is nothing. I'm going to have the headphones on, and we're going to be doing this, and you're going to be like, what are they listening to? That's why I don't do any more music shows up here. I can't. Downstairs it was perfect, but I can't do it. Black Enterprise. Yeah, I said it. You might need to update your app. No, my FB app updates automatically. I set it that way. They didn't roll it out to Apple. They didn't roll it out because all my Apple friends say we can't even do it. That's a shame. And those who can, sometimes when Facebook do a rollout, they roll out geographically. And yeah, so I know that's no fun. Because I sure would have loved to have you on this thing. Oh my God. Oh my God today. All right, who else was talking and yapping and telling me stuff that I don't need to hear? These Jones men. You gonna make me love somebody else if you keep on treating me. Williams. Lady Rochelle, you said my aunt. She said, now, did y'all hear what Lady Rochelle said? I know you didn't hear it. She says, my Android lets me. Well, duh. We know somebody's doing it. We know it ain't Apple. And is there only 2 networks? There's Apple and there's Android. So we know your Android is doing it. Oh, Believe.net, Believe.com. Okay, I'm going to try Believe.com. You mentioned it before, but I shouldn't have to download an app and go through a third party to get... It make no sense. Facebook, y'all slow. Now, y'all can get Donald Trump elected with all this fake news, but you can't fix an Apple to go... man, Zoom is great. I can't deal with y'all. I can't. You know, this is really warm. It's good, but I'm about to spew this out of my mouth. I like my tea hot. It's more professional. It's more professional? Okay, I'm going to try it. James A. Palmore. God bless you. Yes, sir. I got to get you back on the show as well. That man right there is an unsung hero. James Palmore, y'all get to know him. He is a great man of God, and I think he is a music brilliance. James Palmore, music brilliance. He don't know it, but in my phone, in the Apple Play, in my car, his Christmas CD that's years old, I still listen to it almost daily. You know how the music rotates? When you're in the car, you're going everywhere? James Palmer pops up every hour or so, and bam, there it is. And his Christmas CD plays all year round. Why? Because I think it's one of the greatest Christmas projects I've heard in my life. And I'm not just saying it because he's a dear friend. It is brilliant. And every now and then, I'll take a snapshot of my phone and send it to him and say, guess what I'm listening to? Don't I do that, Palmer? Yes, I do, because I think it's pure brilliance. Get to know James Palmer. You will never be the same again. Now, this guy right here got me doing logs and stuff. Y'all hearing, this is the after show. I can just do this stuff. And say hello to the people, man. Say hello to the people. Say what up, people.
Hello, people.
You see? You see, that's D. Curtis Randall Morning Show. He here when the Mises done went to bed. All of the rats done went to bed because they was out all night long, midnight rambling.
Oh yeah, for real.
All right, okay. Be kind and rewind. I see Osmond Jones, my favorite cousin. Don't tell nobody I said that, Osmond. But that's my favorite cousin. Okay, keep that on the down low because I don't want your sisters coming after me. I don't want it. Now, when they come on here, I'll say something else. But as far as you and I is concerned, you my favorite cousin. And that's where it ends, right there. I'm done. I won't say nothing. Yes, you do. Love you and thanks for your support. You're welcome, sir. I think it's time, Palmore, for you to come out with another project. Because you cheating the world. You a cheater. You are a cheater. You cheating the world. Because the people need to hear your music. And oh boy, I may have to go to the bank and get a loan. Wait, the bank owe me money. So they owe me at least $200. I'm gonna wait till I get my $200 in 40 days, and then I'm gonna invest in your new CD. All right, you need to do a stand-up comedy in the park. I could never be a comedian because I would bomb every episode. I'd bomb. All right. Okay, I was about to say something about banking. What was it? Oh man, I was about to say something important for y'all, and I forgot what it was before I shut this out. I believe in supporting artists here in Chicago. I was at the promontory last night supporting Patterson, and that's Carlos Patterson's son, and I was supporting Cornell Thickpen, two of the most amazing musicians that I know in Chicago. Steve Stone Huff will be in his CD release this coming Wednesday, the 11th, with Avant and many of the musicians from the Thompson Community Singers. It's going to be crazy. So those of you who live in Chicago and you want to hear some good music by musicians that the church kind of raised up, meet me that Wednesday, okay? They asked me to make the announcement. I forgot. Meet me at the promontory, 53rd in Hyde Park. Y'all know South Plaza. Y'all know where it is. Just type it in your thing. Good luck on parking because they should change the name from Hyde Park to Good Luck on Parking because the parking stinks in Hyde Park. Hyde Park is where the great Barack and Michelle Obama's house is right up the street. I can take a rock and break their window out, and that might be a federal crime, but it's right up the street there. Yeah. You know what you in the neighborhood when you see 10,000 cops telling you, what you doing over here? You over here for what? The prom of who? You don't look like you belong over here. Yeah, that's when you know you're near his house. Well, that's where it is. All right? Okay. Bless you, Shantae. Bless you, Natalie. Bless you, Loretta Johnson. You late. Where you been? Bless you, Shantae. Give me your real name, Williams. Bless you, Dan Palmo. Bless you, Osmond Jones, Cyrus. Wait, what's your middle name again? I forgot, cousin. And you supposed to be my favorite. Vanessa Kraft, blessings to you. It was so good to see you when you came to town. You're in my, wait. Anyway, Demetri Pitts, I'm in triplet. Bless you too. And you behave, okay? Call me. Bye-bye. Oh, you know what? Since I'm doing this, might as well just give y'all a tour. See, because some of y'all are new to the show. That's our TV right there. We watch the Cosby Show. And then the spinoff of the Cosby Show, yeah. This is our fireplace. It's about to get cold in Chicago, so get ready. It's about to get cold. Yeah, that's Bronzeville. That's the world out there. As the world turns. Yeah. Black art. We believe in black art. We believe in black art. We believe in black art. Yeah, we believe in black art. Yeah, this everything in here is African. We believe in black art. Black art. Yeah. That's where I am right there. See? I sit in that chair right there. That's me. Elder Jones, Rodney Jones sitting in that chair. Charlie Milam sit right there. And my niece, she sit there when he ain't there. And then anyway. Yeah. That goes upstairs to the video rooms and up there to the main offices are upstairs. It's 3 floors. You understand? And that's the singer extraordinaire. She sings for a living. That's what she does. She just sings.
Singers in trouble, man. You can't be telling them people that.
Lord have mercy. Yep, there's a D. Curtis Brandon show, the one I always talk about all the time. Yeah, he just need to put an award sign up there. I don't know what the problem is. Yeah. We can't afford. We can't afford the word award. All right. And then this is the board that he write on because sometimes he ain't got nothing else better to do with his life. True. So he just started writing and stuff. There's my name. It took me. I paid $50 to get my name up there. You see where that 4 is? That means that's how much I owe. It was we were paying in installments. Okay. Yeah. Then video, and then this is where he does all his edits. Okay. He moved me up and moved me down. When I say turn me up, turn me down. Yeah. So we need 3 computers because we worldwide. We worldwide. Yeah. Okay. I can't remember your favorite cousin's middle name. I will put you on airplane mode. Osmond Jones said he gonna put me on airplane mode. Okay, this is the restroom, y'all. Restroom. That's a woman. That's a man. That means 2 people can go in there. Hopefully 1 at a time. That's the toilet. That's the sink. Okay. All right, now here's the lower level. Okay, for the children. This is where we used to air. We don't air down here anymore. We turned it over to the youth department. Yeah, turned it over to the youth department. And this is where they do their youthing. This used to be the office of the Sir Walter Jones Show. I used to air right there. Alvin C. Carter would be right here. Yep, and my sign was up there, and yeah, I missed this old room here. This is where all of the music was. This is where we was the hottest show in Chicago. I know Triplet, the memories. This is the famous wall that we take all our pictures. Yeah. And the youth then took over. The youth done took over. This office been the office of so many folks. You know, matter of fact, this wasn't even here. I was here so long, we built that. You're welcome, Beverly. Here's another bathroom. There's another toilet. This is the recording studio. I'm sure it's locked. Yes. That's where the hits are made, where we do all of our drops. Okay? All right? Taking y'all upstairs. Y'all don't get this a lot now. So you should be privileged. You should be sending me PayPal money or something. Okay? Now, this goes up to the offices to the same as these stairs. See, this was a mansion. This is a mansion, so the help, all the dignitaries are coming here in the front door, and they can go upstairs, but the help, you is smart, you is kind, you is intelligent, she went up here. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, she couldn't come up these steps. And then you go up these steps, more black folks on the wall. And the big mama. Okay. More folks. Okay. And you go up, and this right here is the green room. It's probably locked. It's locked. Everything around here is locked. Okay. More black art. Black art. Black art. Editing room. It's locked. That's another green room, video studio. It's locked. Black art. Black art. Toilet. Okay? We got a whole bunch of toilets in here, about 4 of them. This goes up to the executive offices. Okay, this is the executive office. Many changes are taking place up here. This is the office of Cinderella Gill. This is Dr. Leon Finney's office. This is the man who created this place. He is the CEO, the originator. This is all his idea. Dr. Leon Finney of Leon's Barbecue. Yeah. Well, I would say black art, but they look suspicious. Okay, well maybe they are aboriginists. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. That church right there, that's a church. It is a historic site. It is a church where let's see, Randolph, what's his name? He was the head of the Pullman Porter. Okay. And also Eleanor Roosevelt attended a few services over there. And the father of gospel music attended a few services over there. Of course, this church is up the street there. Dr. Leon Finney is now the pastor there of that church. Yeah. Who else? Of course, Mahalia Jackson. Quite a few people would come to Chicago and they would visit that church there. The city was getting ready to tear it down, but Dr. Finney and a few other African Americans came together and saved the building. Now you can't do nothing with it because it's now landmark status. And that's why I have my concerts, my birthday concerts there. Yeah. So that's what's going on in our world of Brownsville. Okay. This is the porch. And that's the church there. And you can see that you can see the house was built later on. This was built in I would say late 18, maybe early 1900. You can't really do anything with it because again, it's protected now. They came in here and started taking out all of the glass, the stained glass, and before we finally stopped that. Yeah. Yeah, this is my fair city. At least during the daytime. During the daytime. Here's the Sursmobile. There she is. And alright. Okay. You ring the bell. Ding ding. They will let you in. And you watch the Cosby Show until we get ourselves together. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the tour. I hope you enjoyed it. PayPal.me/Sir Walter. I'll be waiting. All right.